The 3rd-and-Longs were demoralizing. I literally lost 3 years off my life. But you know what? This playoff loss, it wasn't so bad. Because the Eagles, they won the Super Bowl last year. It was a breakup, but it wasn't a bad breakup. It was just getting rid of the crazy chick. That's what that was this year. Brendan Albert is here. I am Adrian Fedque. The crazy chick is gone.
Look, I think we all could agree here that if we would have gone back about 8 weeks, I think any Eagles fan truthfully would have said, like, hey, if we make the playoffs, we're thrilled, right? Like, several weeks ago, it was not looking likely that this was going to be a playoff team. Not only to make the playoffs, you won a game, and you know what? You played the team who I think is going to win the NFC. Played them really tight. So you're happy about it. You got some great learning experience there for a whole bunch of young defensive backs, and now we're on to the offseason.
Yeah, and we're going to get into a bunch of different things in this show. Speaking of offseason, we're going to kind of tie some things together here because I think, you know, in these 3rd-and-longs, everyone's pointing out, you know, well, why didn't Jim Schwartz blitz and all this stuff? Yep. Look, Saints game week 11, he blitzed against New Orleans more than any team he did all year, and they put up 48 points. So heading into this game, it seemed like he wanted to play a soft, safe style where he was like, all right, we'll let him have like in the low 20s. We'll let the Saints score in the low 20s. I think if we could score in the high 20s, we'll win the football game. I think that's basically what the game plan was. Get the pressure with the defensive line, drop back 7 in that soft zone. Don't allow the yak. For the most part, I am not hating the defensive performance. 20 points allowed. You had your chances, and you didn't get it done.
Yeah, I mean, look, let's kind of play – if we're going to play the hindsight game, let's play it all the way through. If I told any Eagles fan, Saints are only going to score 20 points, are you happy with that? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Any Eagles fan would have said, I am thrilled. If you're telling me the Saints are only scoring 20 points, I'm thrilled. And I think most Eagles fans would probably even go a step further and say, they only scored 20 points? Yeah, I probably assume the Eagles also won the game. And I think that's what matters in the end. It doesn't matter how many receptions Michael Thomas has, how many passing yards Drew Brees has. It's a scoreboard in the end of the day. That's what we give a shit about. 20 points? Yeah, that's a win. Yeah, I get it. You know, if you want to play the hindsight game and say, well, maybe if we blitz a little bit more, maybe we cause more turnovers. Yeah, that's possible. That's very true. I mean, I'm not saying you're not wrong, but also if you do that, now you give up an extra guy in coverage, and now all of a sudden that run after the catch ability of Michael Thomas maybe only being 6 or 7 yards, now it could be 40 and 50, and now they're not scoring 20 points a game. So I am very hesitant with the idea of saying, well, we should have blitzed more because you only scored 20 points. How much less did you want them to score, honestly?
Yeah. The other argument that people are making on the 20 points thing is like the drives were demoralizing and they were just holding on to the ball. So there weren't as many possessions in this game as, say, a normal game. There were 10 instead of 12. But, like, again, you were up 14-0, and you only had 99 yards of offense after you're up 14-0. That's why you lost. It's that simple to me.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, too, we have to, keep it real here. Did anyone really think that Foles is going to be able to score 30 points consistently? Because I don't. And that's not a shot at Foles. Like, that's just a simple fact. Like, I don't think in the playoffs you can expect your offense to keep bailing you out by scoring 30-point games. So I think because of that, you play a little more conservative on your defense, and you say, let's not put too much pressure on the offense to have to score 30 points because we're gambling. So I don't have a problem, Adrian, honestly, with the game plan that was used and how the Eagles attacked the game.
Yeah, and I even texted you. I was like, in hindsight, my expectations for Foles were too high, considering it was his first game ever, first playoff game ever in the Superdome, that raucous crowd. I thought he was just going to walk in there and be calm and cool and collected as he always is. And that was the first time where I thought the pressure actually got to him. So there's that. All right, so let's move on to the plays now. And the first play we're going to look at is actually one of the few times where they actually got off the field on 3rd-and-Long. So basically, when the defensive line got the pressure, the Saints didn't convert the 3rd down. and this is one of those occasions. So this is deep coverage from Avonte Maddox, and I believe Chris Long forces Drew Brees to step up in the pocket on this play.
Yeah, this is supposed to be 3rd-and-10 here. So here's my thing, okay? And Adrian, we're going to talk more about this a little bit later, but if you look at the way the Eagles defense and the Eagles roster, salary has been spent, draft picks have been spent, it's on the defensive line. So you essentially have paid and invested in moments like this to get pressure with 4. So I don't have a problem with that. So we're going to see here Maddox at the bottom of the screen does a really nice job of staying hip to hip here towards the end. You can see him lean and really get Michael Thomas off of his mark, which is ideal. If you're critical here, what I want us to look at, I'm going to go slow-mo when we get to the top of our route. Does a nice job here of weaving, but as you'll see here, we start to open too soon, and because we open too soon, you have a 50-50 chance. If you open too soon, you're either right or you're wrong. We're wrong here. Now, what makes Maddox fortunate here is you're able to see here that he's leaning, do a nice job of forcing Michael Thomas further and further towards the sideline, using that as his extra defender, and ensures that he's shrinking the throwing window here. So even though we open too soon here for Maddox, does an awesome job at the top of the route of getting hip to hip and doing a nice lean to force Michael Thomas off of his angle to be able to make a reception here.
Yeah, so there you go. There's a 3rd-and-10 that they stopped. This is one of the good ones. This is pretty much it. So bear with us, okay? Because it's going to get ugly now. All right, so 3rd-and-10 late in the first quarter. This is one where the Eagles are in a zone again, soft spot. He kind of found the soft spot in the zone in Michael Thomas. So I'm going to ask you, what's going on with Crayvon LeBlanc on this play? Thomas got behind him. Was he trying to pass him off? What's going on here?
Yeah, this is kind of a wacky one here, Adrian. And again, you have to remember here, most of these guys who are on this roster kind of scrubs. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but the defensive backs, there's a reason these guys weren't starters week 1, right?
I'll tell you what, though, Crayvon has been unbelievable.
He has been. I mean, right for what you got in him and where you got him. All right, so it's found money. But the first thing that kind of alerts me just for communication and just kind of says this is a little bit of a concerning, take a peek here. I'm pretty sure this is Malcolm here, literally telling the guys what they have to do here. And these receivers aren't deaf. I mean, they're not completely dumb. And yeah, I know it's probably going to be coded, but when you play a team and you get an idea of what they do, it's not always something that you have no idea what certain words mean. Now, as we're going to see here, Big 34 kind of gets stuck in no man's land. As you'll see here, it just looks like he's getting ready to try to pass something off because he's starting to square up as if he's going to take the out route, which is fine. If that was his thought process, that's fine. You can take the out route only if there's someone to take the in. But because of Ingram releasing out, we get the parting of the Red Seas here. I mean, you can't get much more open than this.
Yeah, the viewers aren't going to like Jim Schwartz for that one.
Here's the thing. My guess, right, and all I can do is make an educated guess here. My educated guess tells me here that Malcolm and Nigel are not wrong. The guys who are week 1 starters probably know what they're doing, which tells me here that we needed to run with the slot. We needed to run with the in route because this tells me here that this guy's wrong, the guy who hasn't been playing for several weeks. I'm going to err on the side of confidence in Nigel Bradham and in Malcolm Jenkins and assume that they both did their jobs, and it was supposed to be Big 34 here. You're supposed to take the middle of the field, and it's free money there.
Good job up front, too, by the offensive line. That route was able to develop it. I mean, Drew Brees had a lot of time to throw there. So kudos to the O-line. I mean, the O-line played really well for New Orleans. Maybe even the best offensive line in the NFL right now, to be honest. So we'll see about that, heading forward if they're going to continue playing like that. Ryan Ramczyk, Teron Armstead, they were second-team All-Pros this year. So, they're legit. All right.
Yep.
So 3rd and 8, this is another one of the good ones where they got off the field on 3rd down. This was the Brandon Graham strip sack. I'll tell you what, though. I don't know how the hell the Eagles didn't recover this ball. There was 4 guys in the area, only one Saint. They didn't get it, but, whatever.
Yeah, I think that this one kind of this is a little bit different situation here, Adrian. But what really irks me about this play is we're in zone coverage all the way through. Okay, let's talk about personnel. Is that Michael Vick back there? No, it's Drew Brees. If Drew Brees runs 16 yards, you will have a calendar to count him getting all 16 yards because he's not the guy who's a burner. So because of that, you're probably going to play a little more tighter on the coverage on this 3rd-and-long situation than you are about him stepping up into the pocket. You're not worried about Drew Brees running here. It's not
Oh,
Cam
this is
Newton.
the
It's not
third and
Russell Wilson.
16. Oh, you skipped ahead. Okay.
I skipped a play, sorry.
All
So
right.
this is not Russell Wilson. This is not Cam Newton. This is not Michael Vick. So I'm not worried about that. So because of that, and I understand in zone coverage, you're taught to get your eyes back towards the quarterback. I get that. But for fuck's sake, guys, there's two of you here. One of you has to get to his hip.
Oh, yeah.
One of you has to get to his hip. I don't give a shit if it's the corner or if it's the linebacker. But one of you has to get to his hip because Drew Brees certainly has a strong enough arm to zip that in there. And then all of a sudden we get 3-4 yards on run after the catch. Now it's a first down on a 3rd and 16.
This play is the one that like really infuriated me. This is that sticks defense too that Jim Schwartz just loves to employ, and it's great sticks defense. It's great, but like if you don't converge on the goddamn receiver, it sucks.
And here's the thing, like the sticks defense is all about surrendering in this situation, surrendering the field goal, which is fine,
Yeah,
and also surrendering yards after the catch. You're
yeah.
saying we're not going to give any yards after the catch there. I should say attacking yards after the catch. That's the purpose of it. Is saying we'll let you catch the football, but as soon as you catch the football, we're tackling you. Well, first off, he caught the football at 16 yards. So right away, he might have been a first down. And then you're giving up 3 to 4 yards on run after the catch. That just infuriates the hell out of you because as a defense, honestly, you did exactly what you wanted. You got enough pressure that you forced Brees to step up. You got him off of his first and second reads, so you got what you wanted. Now you just have a mental lapse of staring into the backfield thinking Drew Brees is going to run 20 yards. Get to the hip of a receiver that's nearest to you when he has to reset his feet.
And then Bradham even missed that tackle too. That allows the 3 to 4 extra yards.
Yeah.
If you tackle him immediately, maybe they're a yard shy of the first down. So, all right. So, which play are you going to look at next? Where are we at here on the order? You going to look at we going BG or are we going 3rd and 13?
Let's go to the 3rd and 13 play here.
Okay.
This is the fourth quarter here, 6:06.
All right. So this is interesting. This is another one where people were getting on Jim Schwartz for not blitzing. So this is where Josh Hawkins was in the game. Avonte Maddox went out temporarily. So you know exactly what the Saints were going to do. The other thing to peek out here, which you're going to talk about, the threat of Alvin Kamara out of the backfield and fooling Shannon Sullivan. Well, maybe not fooling necessarily, but they didn't stay in the middle of the field here on the deep end. There was no double coverage. There was single coverage.
You're 100% right, Adrian. If nothing else, it's going to freeze us because it's Kamara. If nothing else, it's
freeze. It didn't fool. Freeze is the word.
Just enough of a freeze right here. We can see here that it looks like kind of a high-low coverage. If we get – and I'll go back here. If Kamara stays in for pass protection, what we'll see here by the corner and by the safety, it'll be an inverted bracket coverage, meaning here, bracket coverage, one high, one low. Typically, if a bracket coverage, your corner's low, your safety's high. When we say inverted, it's just flipped. So your safety's low, your corner's high. That's what we would see here if Kamara stays in. But because he doesn't stay in and he releases, this forces our safety now to be a second delay and have to say, okay, am I only able to help any type of curl, any type of in-breaking route? I can't help with. Any type of vertical breaking route, I can't help with. Any type of curl or comeback-like route, me as a safety, I can help. But because this is an in-breaking route, it's free money here. And again, unfortunately, look, if you told me I'm going to have an all-pro level receiver on a corner that I don't even know who his name is on 3rd and 16, yeah, no shit, this is probably going to be a completion.
Oh, it's like every time they needed a big play, they attacked Josh Hawkins. And there's nothing you can do if you're Philadelphia. If front four doesn't get home, that is going to be a completion. If you bring a blitz and that blitz doesn't get home, that's a touchdown.
I mean, look, let's flip this here, okay? If you were the Philadelphia Eagles and I told you, hey, we have Alshon Jeffrey and Carson Wentz, and they're going against a no-name corner, wouldn't
They're
you
going
attack
against
him
a high
all
school
game?
corner.
Like, wouldn't you attack him all game? Like, yeah, no shit. Like, this is exactly what's supposed to happen here.
Yeah. All right, so where are we at now?
Let's go to the fumble here.
This here's the fumble. All right, so this is – I'm trying to remember who forced it. Was it Graham that forced it or was it –
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, so it was Graham that forced it. All right, so I'm trying to remember what happened here. Was it a bull rush? I don't remember.
Nice little dip and rip. So,
okay.
We got a guy coming in here, in our all – man, I still don't know how Eagles fans feel about him, honestly, because I always say this, like, I think, unfortunately, he becomes a victim of, when I look at Brandon Graham, of the Eagles traded up to get him. And this was the same offseason, if I remember correctly, that Dawkins left, and Earl Thomas was on the board.
Draft. Yeah.
Like,
we still, like, in a lot of ways, we still haven't let that go. And that's the problem. Even though Brandon Graham has developed into a great player, the other thing that people get on him for is the lack of sack production.
Yep.
Which, look, he plays the run as well as any defensive end in the game. He still gets pressure. He gets after the quarterback. He may not get double-digit sack total. He's one hell of a football player. And he doesn't get enough respect in Philly. I don't think he does.
No, you're 100% right. It's the fact that Brandon Graham is a Pro Bowl level defensive end. Hey, look, there are probably 28 NFL teams who would say we'd love to have him as our starting defensive end.
Yeah.
However, the problem is the guy who everyone in Philadelphia, including myself, thought they were going to take became the all-pro and maybe the best safety of his generation in Earl Thomas. So that kind of sucks. But the thing that I will always say about Brandon Graham is he is the biggest tease in the NFL because he's always right there. He's always right there, whether it's for a sack, tackle for a loss, but he's either just, a split second late or the big knock on him coming out of the combine, his arms are too short, and it causes him to miss a lot of plays. So I think people have this confliction with him, right? It's like that glass is half full conversation. He's always in the right spot, but he can't finish the play. Well, would you rather have a guy who maybe can finish the play but is only in the right spot 50% of the time? Like, that's really what we talk about Brandon Graham. But what we're going to see here, does a really nice job of a little dip move and is able to use all inch of his little short stubby arms, like CeeLo Brown arms, to cause a fumble here.
God, how do they not recover that? Oh my God. Oh, it's like you look at some of these plays that really swung the game. It was this one, it was the 4th and 1, it was the Nick Foles interception, the first one that he threw.
Big punt.
Yeah, that 4th and 1 fake punt where the Eagles they played their stay in defense. They had the defensive line in there. It's like they played it like they were expecting it. But they didn't get it. That was the play that Fletcher Cox got hurt.
Yeah, this play is a great example of, like, when you hear the analogy of the game of inches. It's just a game of, shoot, you get this ball here, you get the ball on the plus 32, man, it's a whole different game. But it is what it is, Adrian, honestly.
Yeah. So as we finish our plays here, I guess we could finish off by, getting into this. So Brandon Graham is a free agent. It'll be interesting to see what the Eagles do because it's a great defensive end and defensive tackle class. Do you want to get younger on the D-line and build that, or do you want to re-sign Brandon Graham? It'll be interesting to see what they do.
There's no question in my mind Brandon Graham's gone.
Yeah.
In my personal opinion.
I think it's heading that way too. Yeah.
In my personal opinion here, look, you're not a cap-loaded team, to be honest. And you know what? As Brandon Graham said, he owes it to his family to go get paid. Like, you want a Super Bowl ring, go get as much money as you can. Because honestly, this is probably Brandon Graham's last contract.
Oh, yeah.
This is his last contract. So he's going to take, and as he should, get as much money as he can. I'm going to say it right now, Adrian, the team that makes the most sense for him, the Indianapolis Colts. They have a shit ton of money. They run a 4-3 defense. It's a very young defense, and they need a veteran leadership. He can go get paid arm over fist in Indianapolis far more than he can in Philadelphia. And you know what? For the Eagles' sake, that's fine. You and me talked about this before the show started. I'm going to say there'll probably be about 13 pass rushers selected in the first round of this year's NFL draft. It's a very deep pass rush NFL draft. And even into the second round, you can get a guy that can replace Brandon Graham. I think if you're Philadelphia, you shake his hand and you say, hey, thanks for everything, but we totally understand you're going to go get more money elsewhere, and we understand you're probably going to take it.
Yeah, and, I think that's where they're going to go is the end. Because, you got Chris Long. He's not getting any younger. He might even be cut at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I don't know if he's a free agent. I have to look at that. I don't
think he's a free agent this year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, see, I got to get it into off-season mode. So yeah, Brandon Graham is a free agent, and then the other one is Michael Bennett's not getting younger. So it's like you got to get younger on the D line. You got Derek Barnett, but you got to get another dude too.
Yeah, I think honestly, Adrian, I think the Eagles are in one of those spots where if they can get Byron Murphy from Washington corner, they can get him in the first round. Awesome. I think that's a slam dunk. I also really think linebacker is a big need here for the Philadelphia Eagles. I know it's not something that typically Philadelphia has prioritized highly when we're looking at it. So that's where I kind of think, if they can get like a Devin Bush from Michigan, I think maybe that's a realistic pick. But if Devin Bush isn't there, and if Byron Murphy from Washington isn't there, then you go and get your best defensive lineman you can. Maybe it's Marquez Sweat from Mississippi State, or maybe it's a guy like, I'm trying to think here. There's a whole bunch of guys from Alabama, a bunch of guys from Clemson. They'll probably be gone by then. Maybe Brian Burns, a quick twitch defensive end from Florida State, could be a good fit. There's a lot of options that I think that you'll see here that can easily replace Brandon Graham in the first round, that I think it'll make it more accepting for the Philadelphia Eagles, honestly, to let him go.
Yeah, we're sitting here talking about, what position they're going to take, but when in reality it's going to be best player available.
Sure.
I'm just kind of thinking best player available might be a defensive lineman, considering how deep the class is. That's kind of where I'm thinking.
I don't think you're wrong. I think the class and the way the board will probably shape up, you'll probably be right. Yeah. I think the other thing that I think, unfortunately, the Eagles actually won themselves too many games, because I think if the Eagles didn't make the playoffs, that means they're probably like the 16, 17 pick in there, right? I think that would have been the perfect trade value for Jalen Ramsey from Jacksonville. Like, that would have been the perfect situation for Philadelphia, in my opinion. I don't think with where the first round pick is right now, that's what something Jacksonville would say is worth Jalen Ramsey. But if it was like 16, 17, I think that would have been a great move there for the Eagles.
Nick Foles and a first for Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, that's not ridiculous, honestly.
Yeah, if they get Jalen Ramsey because of Nick Foles, I'm retiring from YouTube.
That's not a ridiculous trade offer by any means, honestly.
YouTube, I am dropping the mic. I'm leaving.
I don't think that's ridiculous, honestly. I think, Jacksonville will obviously look into your Tyrod Taylors and your Bridgewaters and your Joe Flacco's of the world. But, man, a first-round pick and a quarterback for 3 years, for Jacksonville's sake, that might not be a bad move, especially because Jalen Ramsey's going to get paid. And you have a whole bunch of guys on that defense who need to get paid too. That actually might be a win-win, in my opinion.
Ooh, okay. All right. The other one I was thinking is they're talking about maybe trading Leonard Fournette, maybe. Too. I wouldn't do that if I was them.
Not until you know.
How much is there legs to that?
I think everyone in the NFL is tradable, including Carson Wentz. As much people don't want to say that.
I know.
Everyone in the NFL is tradable, right? Let's not get it twisted. I'll tell you this right now. If I was the Eagles and the Arizona Cardinals called me and said, "Hey, we'll give you 2 firsts for Carson Wentz," I'd be cool with that. Like, I 100% would be cool with that.
No,
I know you wouldn't, but let me just.
You can go ahead. I ain't doing shit. I ain't even picking up the phone. I ain't getting too queasy with it. Nope, not happening.
Let me play this out, okay? This is why I'm cool with it. First off, I would explore Foles first, okay? And if I couldn't get a good trade for Foles, like a first in Foles for Ramsey, I'd love that trade. I like that one a lot. But if I couldn't do that, and I'm only getting like 3rd and 4th round picks for Foles, which I don't think they will, but if it happens, and Arizona says, I'll trade you 2 ones, here's what I would do. Go ahead and you get Nick Bosa. So now you get an all-pro potential Hall of Fame level pass rusher, which I love. Arizona's still going to suck next year. So that
Oh, I
first-round
get
pick
that.
could
You're
be
gonna get like two fucking number one overall picks.
so that first
Good,
round pick could be Fromm,
good.
it could be Tua, it could be Jacob Eason. I could get my quarterback next year. And if again, it all comes down to medical. But this back injury is something that Carson had in college. And that's something that's a little bit concerning for me. So if I'm concerned about long-term health and you're telling me I can get 2 first-round picks, get a Hall of Fame level pass rusher, and maybe a Pro Bowl quarterback next year's draft and just have to play Foles for 1 year, I'm cool with it.
I ain't picking up the phone. I ain't overthinking shit.
I get it.
That's my thought process. I ain't getting too cute with this. I've been waiting my entire life for a John Elway, for a Joe Montana, and maybe it's Nick Foles. I don't know, but I've been waiting my whole life for a franchise quarterback, and I think I have it in Carson Wentz. And I know maybe next year you can get Tua or Jake from State Farm, whatever. But I want Carson Wentz. He is my ginger. He is my ginger Jesus. I love him.
All I'm going to say is this. Listening to an Eagles fan talk about quarterbacks makes me completely sick. You guys have had Donovan McNabb, Michael Vick, who was still really good, Jeff Garcia, who was still better than probably half the league that season he played. Kevin Cobb was better than half the league when he played that one season. Carson Wentz. Now you have Nick Foles. My quarterbacks have been guys like Kyle Bowler and a guy who looks like a character from Sesame Street and Joe Flacco, my Baltimore Ravens. I don't want to hear it from Philadelphia Eagles fan. I've been waiting my whole life for Carson Wentz. You've had Pro Bowl quarterbacks every part of your life.
We've never had a John Elway.
I hear what you're saying, but the way I look at it, everyone is tradable. Everyone is tradable in the NFL. I am not loyal to anyone's name on the back of the jersey. It's all about the logo and the team, not the player.
The only player I'm trading Carson Wentz for is Patrick Mahomes. I think Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL.
He's awesome.
He is just he's won me over. I'll say that. I've never gotten anyone as wrong as I have Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I'd echo that, man.
A lot. I mean, hey, look, everybody got him wrong because we're looking at the way he throws and like all those different platforms. I'm like, that's not going to translate, and then it did, and he's like revolutionizing the game.
Well, I mean, this all goes back to Adrian. It's all about situations, right? Like, same thing with Jared Goff. Jared Goff was a bust after 1 year, and then he's a Pro Bowler the next. Like, It's all about situations that players go to, rosters, coaching, GMs. There's a million variables that go into in each player being successful or being a bust.
And part of that is Andy Reid letting him be Patrick Mahomes. So,
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100% right, Adrian.
So we just talked into complete randomness there to end the show, but that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that conversation. Good stuff as always. So we'll figure out what we're going to do in the off season and what we want to do in terms of videos, but we'll figure it out. So there you go. There you go. Let us know in the comments section, what you guys might want to see. I don't know. Hit us with something. So there's that. You got any final thoughts?
Yeah, I'd love to know what our viewers want to see from us moving forward. The off season is something I love. I think the draft and stuff like that is something I get really excited about. But let us know. Is there certain positions you want to see? Are there certain players you want to see us break down? We love feedback. That always kind of helps gets me and Adrian moving in the right direction to give you what you want.
There it is. All right. That's Brendan Albert. He's the best in the business. I'm Adrian Fedke. We're out. Peace.
Appreciate it, guys.